In this video, I wanted to talk to you about strategies you can use to deal with a Falcon when you're out solo PvPing. So to set this up, first I'm in a Rupture. It's a Tech 1 Minmatar cruiser. It's a nano Rupture, so it's a little bit fast, maybe just over 2K a second. Micro warp drive, auto cannons with barrage, long point, meant to fight at probably around 18 to 20K, and I've got one rapid light missile launcher there. I was toying with this ship for a while. I'm not really thrilled with it. I just thought it might be a cool Tech 1 ship to go out and do some kiting stuff with, but I wasn't too impressed. But that's not really important for this fight because I just jumped into this system, and that's the reason this video starts after it's already started. It was because I didn't expect a fight to happen here, so I didn't hit record until it had already started. Because what happened was I jumped into this system and there was nothing on grid, nothing on overview. It looked clear. So I went to warp to the next gate, or to probably more likely to my gate tactical on Okagaken. And right as I started to go to warp and uncloaked, the Saber and Falcon uncloaked. They were sitting there cloaked on the gate. The Saber popped a bubble to hold me there, and the Falcon started trying to lock me to jam me. So what happened just before this video started was my immediate reaction was I did two things to try to negate the Falcon and to neutralize the Falcon. To try to. It's not 100%. So those two strategies are, let me pull up the drawing thing. The first one is, this is mouse writing, so it's not that nice. Distance, right? So the first thing you can do to negate or deal with the Falcon is to get some distance between you and the Falcon. And the reason for that is because the ECM modules on a Falcon have a limited range. There's an optimal range, then there's a fall off. At optimal plus fall off, there's a 50% effectiveness. Beyond that, it goes down pretty drastically. Now what that is depends on which modules he has fitted, what rigs and all that other stuff, his skills. But you can safely assume that once you get to 100 kilometers and beyond, a Falcon's jams are going to start hitting less and less often until you get maybe at 120, which is ideally where you'd like to try to keep them, is at about 120 kilometers, and then their jams are very ineffective. They'll only get one every once in a while. So the further you get away, the less cycles he's going to get on you. I do that by doing a keep at range, right? So keep at 100. And that's this button here. You just right click it, set it to 100,000 meters, which is 100 kilometers. And then as you're moving away, you're going to want to double click in the direction that you're already going so that you don't stop at 100 necessarily. You can even set that to 120 if you really wanted to. Most of my ships have that set for keep at 100. It's whenever I'm kiting or even when I'm fighting in a brawling interceptor, I will use that as my, whoa, things are getting hot, I need to back off button, because it takes you in the optimal direction to get away from the other target, from the threat, as fast as possible. So the Falcon's right here. My drones you see right here. So the second strategy for dealing with the Falcon is DPS, right? And usually that means DPS from drones. So one strategy that I've used in the past is when I was in a Pilgrim and a Falcon uncloaked on grid, I charged the Falcon, and as soon as I got one cycle where I wasn't jammed, maybe it took 2 or 3 before I got to there, I put all of my newts on the Falcon to kill his capacitor. Then he can't run his jams anymore, and then I was able to kill the Falcon. You can do that with a DPS ship as well and just try to kill him in that open cycle. You've only got a short amount of time to do it, but the good thing is Falcons typically don't fit tanks. Their tank is their jams, and if they do have a tank, it's usually a pretty light tank, not real strong. So what I did when I jumped in is I immediately hit keep at. Then I immediately locked this Falcon. So I'm moving away, locking the Falcon as fast as possible, and using my hotkey to engage my drones on the Falcon before he can get a jam on me. The reason I'm able to lock the Falcon faster than he can lock me is because he has a locking delay after he uncloaks. Any ship in the game except for stealth bombers has a locking delay that when they uncloak, they can't even begin to lock something for a set amount of time depending on skills and the ship and the cloak they're using. It's about 6 seconds in most cases. So 6 seconds before he can start to lock, and then 1, 2, 3, probably 2 or 3 seconds before he can get the lock to start jamming me. That means I've got 8 to 10 seconds from the time I see this Falcon to the time he can jam me and keep me from locking anything. That's my window that I need to get my drones on that Falcon and get them engaged. And what that's going to do is, because even though I'm going to be moving away from that Falcon, my drones will continue to engage him. And as they're continuing to engage him, they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on him to either die from the drones or warp away and come back. If he warps away and comes back, he's going to be out of the fight for long enough for me to kill this Saber. So by putting pressure on him, I'm doing whatever I can. It's not 100% by any means, but I am putting pressure on him to leave the field by doing that. And by moving away, if he doesn't leave the field, I'm making his jams more and more useless or less and less effective. So what you can see here also is I am jammed and or scrammed and webbed and jammed. So I got off a cycle of my guns and my rapid light missile launchers. I think I shot them at the Falcon. I'm not sure. That would have been the smart choice, because if you shoot them at the Falcon, you're going to apply as much DPS to that Falcon while you can and while you're moving away, because you want to force them off the grid. So let's go ahead and start this up. I'm still wanting to be moving away here. And yeah. So I'm still wanting to be moving away. I'm trying, I think I just double-clicked there. Yeah, I double-clicked away from the Falcon. And I just now realized that I'm not being scrammed. For some reason, that Saber did a drive-by scram and then kept going and dropped his scram, which allows me to get a micro warp drive cycle in. I shift-clicked it after the first cycle to get an overload. A second Saber has now come in. And so I'm trying to just get as far away from that Falcon as possible so I can engage these Sabers and kill them without being jammed all the time. You can see the Saber's getting closer to me, and he gets a scram and a web and a new bubble, so that's going to slow me down. But now I'm 86 kilometers and coasting from this Falcon. I'm able to apply some DPS to these Sabers. And one note, let's just pause it for a second. One note here is, I think this guy says something about it, if I'm right. He says impressive drone range at the end of the fight, I think. Hold on. My throat's real scratchy today. He says impressive drone range. And it's not impressive drone range. I've got I think 56 kilometers is what my drone range is with my skills. 56 kilometers of drone control range. But the way it works is if you engage your drones at less than that, then even after you move beyond that range, your drones will continue to engage. And now I'm not sure if they will continue to engage forever or if they will continue to engage until you're more than 150 away. I'm not really sure what the exact mechanic is there, but they will continue to engage for quite a while, long enough to put pressure on that Falcon like we're trying to do. So right now, the Falcon's going to start slowly losing effectiveness on his jams. He's hitting me still, but we're 93 away from him now and moving further. You notice the Falcon's not moving. A lot of times Falcons don't have propulsion, so he can't keep up with me. I'm just wanting to try to stay alive, continue moving away from that Falcon until his jams stop working, and keep trying to lock these Sabers so that I can kill them. Unfortunately, the Falcon gets another jam, and we're out at 110. I would expect to see him miss a cycle here after this. Unfortunately, the Sabers are moving out of my range, and the Falcon's jams drop. And he's at 120, and you see the Falcon just warped off. So what happened there was the drones put so much pressure on that Falcon that he had to warp off, just like we said in the beginning. And you'll notice that the Sabers were moving away before he warped off. He was probably telling them on comms that I'm about to die. I've got to warp away. Right? And so they backed off, knowing that if they continued to engage right now, I need to stop overloading that micro warp drive. If they continued to engage right now, it might be too late, then I would be able to kill them. Unfortunately, they do not want to fight. They don't want to have anything to do with me now that the Falcon's not here to keep them safe, because I would shred them. I think they felt that the few times I was able to get shots off on them. They felt how much DPS I was doing to them with the rapid lights mostly. And you see there's his comment, impressive drone control range. So it was exactly that. The drones forced him off the field. So what happens here in the end, and I don't think there's much left. Yeah, nothing happens here. I just pull my drones in and warp off. So no reason to keep the video going. I'm not able to kill the Sabres because they never come back in. But this video does illustrate very well those two strategies for dealing with Falcons. Maximize your range from the Falcon. Get out to 100, 120, even 130 kilometers, but not more than 150 because they'll just warp up. And get drones on that Falcon. If you can get drones on the Falcon, 9 times out of 10, he's going to warp out within 30 seconds, a minute of you getting drones on him. So if you can just get drones on him and stay alive, then you're going to be able to force him off the field and have a chance at either surviving, like I did here, just by staying calm and executing, going through the steps. I took a very bad situation where I was surprised and I was all of a sudden bubbled and I was scrammed and I was webbed and I was permajammed. I took a very bad situation and turned it into a situation where I survived, which is a good thing. It's not the best thing. The best thing would have been if I'd have killed a Sabre or two. But by executing and staying calm, I was able to escape, save my ship, and force the Falcon off the field.